Oh my gosh, how annoying is this? This is so annoying. I'm so pissed right now. Oh, I have no idea what's going on. I am sitting in my son's house where I've been broadcasting the last month. I did not move. I'm sitting in the same spot that I started this space in earlier today. I have no idea what just happened.
I blame Elon 100% in these circumstances. And sorry, Cher. I know the
Oh my
feeling.
God, it's so frustrating. And I still can't help but think I'm being hacked by somebody.
No, not at all. Don't
Oh,
think that. It's what's happening is that X has fluctuating stability issues when it comes to spaces, period.
and for the record, I appreciate you guys not starting that conversation without me. I'm like, don't start it, don't start
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? It's too good of a topic to let it go where it doesn't need
it.
to, right?
I was yelling at the phone, don't start it, don't start it. There's too many of us that have comments about it. So let's go. Part two, post rug pull space, day 24, WSOP coverage. And what we're referring to is, um, the Golden Nuggets struggling right now to meet guarantees. And unfortunately, some of the tactics or the methods of operations they're using um, is not sitting well with players. And so yesterday, the tweet I saw, which I thinking is what most of you saw as well, is Alan Kessler called out the Nugget and their schedule now. Instead of saying the guarantees or guarantee for a tournament, it says, what does it say? I wrote this down so I'd have it too. Anybody?
The short of
It
it
says
is
expected.
it's not a guaranteed anymore. It's
Wait a
an
minute. I want the
expected
right.
prize
Yeah.
pool. That's
ASG. What is it, ASG?
It says expected prize pool.
Thank you. Expected prize pool instead of using the word guarantee or guarantees. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and go around the horn. Whoever wants to go first, go ahead, Brad.
I kind of I. It's funny, we had this conversation the other day, and I almost said it, and I didn't want to put it into the universe, but this was exactly what I was afraid of. I was talking about people using these hyper inflated potentially guarantees, pulling the rug on the guarantees and just dropping the guarantees. And I didn't want to put it into the universe, but it happened anyway. But I feared what would end up happening is that operators or hosts would go to this phrasing of expected prize pools. And my fear is uh, why not just say a milli for $100 nightly expected prize pool? They could just say whatever. They're not on the hook for anything.
Right.
And I'm being obviously extreme when I'm saying this, but um, there's no incentivized reason for not them to not just bloat this hypothetical expected prize pool. And to me, the big difference is when somebody says expected prize pool,
Oh,
it's
Brad, you're in the
just that.
matrix.
Oh,
We had you until to me.
am I in the matrix still?
No, I
No,
heard you completely.
go
Okay.
ahead.
My fear is like, so when somebody, as a host or an operator, when they say expected price pool, to me it's a hypothetical. When they say a guaranteed, we know it's going to get to that amount. Um, and surely they can just drop the guarantees to a certain figure that's comfortable with them, so that they're not on the hook for XYZ amount. But it just takes a little bit off the hook, or no, a lot of it off the hook for the operators. And I think that it could lead to a misleading of a lure to tournaments. To my hypothetical extreme example of a $1 million $100 nightly, which is not going to happen, and I'm using that as an extreme. But there's no real incentive reason for them not to do that. and ASG and I had a conversation on this, short of them having like, just putting up like these expected prize pools and missing them by 70-80% every single time.
Okay. All right. ASG, what are your thoughts?
So yeah, there's like three ways you can do this, right? You can either have, or three ways you can do this without like having to risk loss as an operator, I should say. You can do what the Golden Nugget is now doing, where you have an expected prize pool, and that's not a guarantee, but it's what you think will end up being your prize pool around that number. You can do what the Orleans is doing, where you have guarantees, or I think Philly Live kind of does the same thing in my area, where you have these guarantees that are so realistically low that you'll never have to worry about paying them. Like they'll have like 100,000 guarantee when they know that 250,000 will likely be in the prize pool, so they can say, "Oh, we smashed the guarantee."
All right.
Or you can do what WPT did last year during their championship, where you have no number and you just say this is the buy-in. So that's like the three ways. And
Or the fourth way would be you publish a guarantee, and no matter if you make it or not, you're paying the guarantee and keep
well,
your
that's
word.
what they. I mean, that's what they did in their first couple of weeks. But you're not. I mean, like that's just not. If you find out at the beginning of your tournament that your tournament series that you're having huge overlay, you're gonna not have a poker room don't if you don't
Well,
change things.
and nobody disagrees with that. And but at the same token, we have to take you for your word. And if you say guarantee, then by golly, it's a
Well, that's why
guarantee.
they're getting rid of them before anybody registers, so that they're not, so it's no longer guaranteed.
Right,
All right.
and to
Uh,
and to parlay this conversation, the year before, there was like this arms race, if you will, of the biggest guarantee ever between the
all right.
WPT and the WSOP, and the WPT missed their guarantee by
All right.
1.8 milli, and for what it's worth, they came out of pocket, and guess what happened the next
Absolutely.
year? No guarantee. And I think to ASG's point, what ends up happening is if they just do guarantees from an operator or host standpoint, what ends up happening is they end up putting these ridiculously low guarantees, which they know are going to be crushed. Which
All right.
Adam Pliska actually had an interview on this, and he spoke about it, and he just didn't feel that had a tremendous amount of value. And I think either way, I just think it's I don't know. I just think it's problematic all as a whole, and I think this is a really good conversation because, like, who stands to lose in all of this? And as ASG is talking about, it's the operator or the host. And real quick, I want to touch on this because we talk about operators and hosts, and they're often interchangeable, but they're different. The operator is who's running the tournament, like the WPT, the WSOP, MSPT, etc. The host is Paris, horseshoes, the win. Now, the operator and the host could be the same person in the sense of like the win series. They run their own and host their own, the Orleans, etc. But my point is that one way or the other, whether it's the operator or the host that's on the hook, what ends up happening is they can't just keep losing money. So
Of course. Of course.
so
Nobody's saying that they should.
right, but
I want to get Isaac a chance.
I
Go ahead,
actually
Isaac.
I just tagged Sean because I think we need like his perspective. Personally, I mean, the only thing for me is is that it is a dangerous precedent to start setting because then Other operators might easily fall suit, especially if they see that players are still playing regardless of that situation. So I feel like, you know, they got to be careful with doing these things because we're already dealing with rake, right? And rake just seems to get uglier by the year. So it's like now if you're gonna keep a high rake and you're not gonna guarantee things, and it's like it's kind of like gonna de-incentivize or just it's gonna kill poker rooms in my opinion. But if people flood to them because they're cheap buy-ins or whatnot, and they still continue to do this no guarantee stuff, I don't know. I don't like it personally.
Well, I'm just going to give my point of view now, and that is, um, you know, when a company like the WPT advertises for months about this astronomical guarantee, and how many millions of dollars is being made in free publicity from that campaign prior to the event because it's being retweeted, talked about, podcasts are talking about it, millions of dollars in free advertisement, so to speak. So when they lose $1 million for overlay, isn't it kind of a wash because they've just had months of free advertisement because they're trying to be so splashy with that dollar amount of a guarantee? So when we look at the picture, we kind of have to look at the whole picture of what's involved. Those operators are also using it as a advertising ploy, so to speak, a clickbait. Same thing with ASG brought up the Orleans bragging about smashing their guarantees because they're making their guarantees a little lower so that they can smash their guarantees and then brag about it, right? That is a sales ploy, and there's no shame in that game. And quite frankly, I'd rather they underestimate the guarantee to cover themselves, even if it is a sick brag on the far end of them saying we smashed that guarantee. There's no shame in that game as far as I'm concerned because they're protecting themselves. We need the operators, they need us. Um, I want guarantees, but I don't want operators to have overlays. Never have, never will. Does it benefit the player? Sure. Would I go to an overlay? Yep, sure would. Do I advertise them when I find out about them? Yep, sure do. But that's not the point here. When you're looking at the overall health of the poker world and what's best for the poker world. So for me, I would rather them underestimate the guarantees to protect themselves. And who cares if they brag on the far end that they smashed their guarantee? That is far better for the health of this ecosystem in the poker world than them continuing to have overlays and having to go through the mess. And I consider what's going on at the Nugget a mess publicly in the world of the public opinion, because now people are like, well, I'm going to go play there. Well, maybe I'm not, because are they going to guarantee, or are they going to change it when I get there? It puts doubt in the players' minds, and so that's never a good thing because people aren't going to come if they doubt what you're doing. So that's kind of where I'm at with all that. So go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, I've actually talked about this like a year or two ago. Like, I'm glad you brought this up about the concept of overlays. I think overlays are fantastic for what it's worth in the short term for players, but in the long term, they're not good. And this is exactly why I brought this up, because a year or two ago is exactly what we're seeing. Is because what ends up happening in the long term is the operators are going to stop the guarantees, reduce the guarantees, and worst case scenario, what we're seeing, instead of guarantees, they're putting out expected prize pools. So, sorry about the dog in the background, but um, she's got something to say about it too, apparently. She doesn't like overlays either. But, I brought this up that, I think in the short term, overlays are good for a player, but in the long term, they're bad because of exactly all of these topics we're bringing up. And, in the end, I just hate to see that word expected tossed around for the first or
I
second
agree.
time. I hope this doesn't become a precedent for others moving forward. And I also don't want operators to be on the hook either, for what it's worth.
Well, and let's face it, what's the difference Uh, you know, lowering the guarantee amount. Okay, so the guarantee amount was 50 million. If they said 40 million, would that have a bigger effect? No. It's still $40 million for how much was the buy-in? $1,100. I mean, come on, like that. Lowering the guarantee amount to protect themselves, I don't see any problem with it. Go ahead, ASG.
The 50 million was a $10,000 buy-in, but
I'm just
no, I'm
giving
just
an
saying because it
example.
was
Yeah.
a rather large buy-in. But yeah, well, the point is they were trying to like keep up with the Joneses with the WSOP, and then the
Right.
WSOP had their 50 million or whatever guarantee, and then the WPT realized that they both couldn't keep up with the WSOP guarantee, and they didn't want the same situation as last year. So what they did was they had no guarantee, and then they tried to make up for it by having this whole gold
Right.
free roll $5 million
Right.
thing
Right.
instead. And that was its own thing. But just to not completely throw Nugget under the bus, I wanted to also throw in some other bad actors out there. What was it, 2 years ago that the Orleans canceled a tournament mid-tournament so that they wouldn't have to pay the guarantee. And
I don't
Well,
think
and
it's,
I'm gonna, there's lots of examples out there. Right now, we're just talking about the Nugget. We
well,
don't have to rehash because there
no,
are
I'm just saying
several
other alternative
places.
ways of
Yeah.
things happening. And then there was another tournament series, I forget who this one was, that threw in extra flights last minute to hit the guarantee.
Right. Right. And they do that kind of stuff, right? And honestly, your points of them, keeping up with the Joneses, the WPT versus the WSOP is exactly what my point is. They're going after the clicks by trying to keep up with the Joneses instead of, and they really hung themselves out to dry for an overlay, you know. And you're still going to get great advertisement with a $40 million guarantee and rate of return on a 10K, buy-in with a $40 million guarantee. Like, who's complaining about that? It's bullshit if somebody would. The point is, instead of keeping up with the Joneses, protect yourself and protect the players. There's no need for all those antics. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't see through those antics because they're not involved enough. But for those of us that do, like, knock it off. We don't need it. We want you to protect yourselves, operators, venues, and we want you to protect the players. Plain and simple.
yeah, definitely a tricky proposition if you think about, all sides of the equation. And I get it from the operator standpoint. But as a player, I also think like, if we're doing the expected guarantees, it's honestly meaningless. If we're doing guarantees that are, you know, way below that where they should be, it's kind of meaningless. Um, you know, and like I said, again, I think it's really important to mention this. I also don't want overlays because in the long term, because we're going to find ourselves, in the exact spot we're in. But it's I feel like the expected guarantee concept, it could just lead us down a road of way more um, hypothetical allure that doesn't actually exist than the guarantees do, because the
Right.
guarantees tell us
And I'm going to tell
exactly
you,
what it's going to be.
I don't think anybody's suggesting to do way under guarantees. What I'm saying is it's better to go under than it is to go over, right? Over.
Totally
And
agree.
so, say you look at last year's numbers for that event and you make the guarantees looking at last year's numbers. And that's not underestimating it drastically. That's just looking at last year's numbers and making a guarantee based on those numbers. You don't have, the problem is they're too worried about splash effect, you know, the splash effect of publicity. And so the splash effect is 50 million. Oh, 50 million, 50 million, 50 million. How many times did we hear that for 2 months or however long it was when they announced it to when the event took place? lots of free advertisement there. So they're definitely making money on the free advertisement. But at the same token, protect yourselves. And so you look at the year before numbers, and if you want to make a splash, you can then go up 5 million in your guarantee. You don't have to go up 20 million in your guarantee or whatever it was, 15 million, whatever it was, I don't remember. But the point is, those guarantees should be realistic based on numbers from maybe the last 3 years of that tournament being in existence. So there's ways to do it without cutting those, guaranteed numbers so it looks stupid, So go ahead, ASG.
Okay. I guess a hot take from a couple of your opinions here, but I think Sean has even agreed with what I'm about to say. I do think occasionally that you should have some overlay sometimes, because it means that your guarantees are actually something that you're trying to achieve, and not just locking up that the prize pool is going to be a certain amount. I don't know how best else to say that, but I do think that if no tournaments are ever overlaying, then there's no point in having a guarantee, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
All right, that's a point well made. Welcome, Sean. We are talking about the recent changes at the Nugget with their schedule, and them putting the words expected guarantees and removing the word guarantee or guarantees from their schedule. And, we also brought up the fact that the Orleans is sort of underestimating their guarantees, and ASG brought up the fact that they do it because they want to say they're smashing their guarantees. If you can kind of ring it, corral us in as to maybe explain to us how an operator even comes up with your guarantees. Maybe we should start there. Welcome, by the way.
Thank you. I'm hoping everybody can hear. I'm in the car driving home, so I'll be able to talk better in about 10 minutes. But I'd love to join the conversation. Yeah, guarantees are obviously a big part of our business, and I will admit, we have no clue what we're doing when we set these guarantees, guys. We have no clue what we're. I'm kidding, of course. No, Sherry, you were right. We kind of look at year-over-year data and find out how we can stretch the rubber band, so to speak. I've had events where I've launched an event that has $1 million guarantee, and then, 3 years later has a $3 million guarantee, and there's just there's a lot to go into it. I don't want to talk about anybody specific, but I will say that if you're saying guarantee for the prize pool, but you're not actually guaranteeing it, I mean it better be based on something in your local jurisdiction that doesn't allow for it. Other than that, don't put a guarantee on it. Just don't do it. Just roll the tournament out on whatever, add some value in a different way. I'd rather add 100K in value than to throw, if I can guarantee, sorry, excuse my language, throw a guarantee on an event that is meaningless. Now you look in the fine print and it's like, well, it was maybe we get there, but we're not guaranteeing it. Then what is that? What's the line from Tommy Boy? I can slap a guarantee on blah blah blah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a guarantee unless it's actually a guarantee.
Agree. Go ahead, Brad.
So, question for you, Sean, and maybe I'm getting too far ahead of myself in thinking this, but seeing them toss the word expected in replace of the word guarantee, I fear it could set a precedence in the sense that operators / hosts may ditch the guarantee, which I hope is not the case. And and the bigger fear is that when they start tossing the word around expected instead of guaranteed, and I use the extreme example, and I'm obviously being extreme in this, but why not just say you have a 1 milli guaranteed for your $100 nightly, and there's operators / hosts are not on the hook, and they're just maybe bringing a lure to bring in people that isn't actually real. Do you get a sense that this could be a trend moving forward, or is this maybe I hope a one-off? What is your thought on that?
All right, so Usually people don't like this answer and this response, and it's about a lot we do in this business and any business. But the only way anything changes effectively is through you guys. You have to vote with your dollars. You have to call up the TD. You have to tweet them out. You have to email them and all that stuff. That's the only way effective change, whether in the casino industry or any other one. Yeah, it's the whole write your congressman. At some point, if 1,000 people write that congressman, it holds weight. But yeah, I'm hoping that language, the way you said it, sounds really shady at best. Obviously, there's no such thing as an expected guarantee. That doesn't even make sense. Those two words don't go together. If you want to say expected prize pool, you better put it in bold print.
That's
And I've seen people do that, the expected prize pool. But yeah, expected guarantee makes absolutely no sense. And there's not one tournament we do where we don't put a guarantee out. We've missed a ton at MGM Grand. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I haven't been really highlighting them. I'm not screaming overlay alerts. We're just paying them. Yeah, you'll see a couple tweets here that say value alert, shit like that. I don't even mind saying overlay alert. I know Savage like throws up at that now. I don't care. My as an operator, my job is to bring you in. My job is to market to you and get the most amount of players in. And at the end of the day, us missing guarantees is not great for you long term. Yes, I agree with ASG. If we say $1,000 guarantee on $100 nightly and we always hit 5K in the prize pool, what's the point? If a guarantee never misses, it's not a guarantee. I get that. But by missing them by leaps and bounds, you end up with what WPT Win did, and you just get rid of it and you do other things like free rolls and stuff. And don't get me wrong, WPT's business model right now is chef's kiss. They know exactly what they're doing. We're all watching them do it. It looks like they're lighting money on fire, but trust me, the higher ups at WPT and the ones that own the company are very, very smart. They're playing the long game. They know what they're doing. And that's kind of why they pivoted away from that guarantee. Also, because I'm sure Wynn didn't want to pay, 2, 3, 4, 5 million if they end up missing the guarantees, which they obviously we saw that year that they went to 40. Agree with, I know I'm long-winded here a little bit, but I agree with Sherry. I think they went too far. They overcorrected in a way that didn't need to be done. If you hit 15 million in a guarantee, or excuse me, if you hit 29.7 million in a $15 million guarantee, you go to 30 million. You go to 30 million. Hell, you go to 25 million. It doesn't matter, because what you do, the metrics is we raise the guarantee by X percentage. And I'm a percentage guy. I always love saying, like, we raise the guarantee by 75%. I don't care if it's $20. It doesn't matter. Make it sound good. Make it sound like poker's successful. Bring more people in. Increase your player share. That's our job. So yeah, I mean, like, I understand why they pivoted away. And my fear was that the operators were all going to go away from guarantees. But again, you guys are the ones that dictate that. You guys still are showing up at places advertising guarantees. So let's make sure we're vocal with the operators. Say, hey, don't do any of this shady shit. We don't appreciate it. This is not what we like. I would rather you be upfront and transparent and tell me, hey, the $500,000 guarantee went down to $250,000 than to bullshit me and say expected guarantee of what we did last year, even though we know we're going to miss.
Yeah, just to clarify, it says expected prize pool, not expected guarantee.
Okay, I mean, that's the way you get around it, but yeah, because expected guarantee, I don't think the gaming control board would have liked that one. It seemed a little off.
And to your point, Sean, it really felt like there was like an arms race I mentioned earlier of the guarantees. WPT had the biggest guarantee ever at 25 million, and then they raised it to 40, and then WSOP was like, well, we're going to do a 25 million or 50 million guarantee for the 25K. It just felt like it was getting higher and higher until they weren't going to get there. And I think we were, unfortunately, I felt like we were eventually destined to get where we are. But I mentioned this too earlier. I think overlays are maybe good in the short term, but they're not good in the long term. But I think you said a lot of really good points.
Well, and again, that advertising, they're playing the long game, and they're, using those bullet points for that advertising to sell tickets to their event. I'm going to let welcome Fats to the conversation. Go ahead, buddy.
Hi, how you doing? Sean, I have a question for you. Follow this. If let's say a tournament's raking 10%. So basically, if a tournament had was $1,000 buy-in and it sold 1,100 seats, it would basically would take in 1.1 million, 10% rake. It roughly you would be left with $1 million prize pool. So my question is, in the case of when they guarantee $1 million prize pool, and if there was normally a 10% rake, is it the first 1,000 seats sold go directly into the prize pool, and those next 100 seats that would get you the 10% go straight to the, basically don't affect the prize pool? It still stays at $1 million until you get over the 1.1 million mark?
Yeah, I mean, I effectively the way you're explaining it, it doesn't really matter because, like, think about this. Like, if I say there's $1 million, I might as well just promote it. Like the $3 million guarantee on the BetMGM Summer Championship coming up at Aria in a week. The 3 million is front loaded. Like we're if one person shows up, we cover the difference. Granted, I would cancel an event before I'd let one person just win that, but but you know what I'm saying, just in fun. But yeah, so let's say we miss a guarantee. Basically what we do is we return the fees to the prize pool, but it's already our money. It's just one bucket at that point, so it doesn't really matter how you look at it. So like the way we look at it is it a hard overlay or a soft overlay? A soft overlay is effectively when we have enough in service fees to cover the difference. Like, let's say we miss a guarantee by 3 people, we're still going to profit because so we're just giving back those 3 people in fees. You know what I'm saying? So until we cover whatever the deficiency is in the prize pool. Let's say we miss by 25,000, but I only collected 15,000 in fees. That would be a 15,000 soft, 10,000 hard over. Literally, I came out of pocket. Now that's not like EBITDA or anything like that. Like I still have to cover expenses, labor, all that other stuff. But we don't calculate that in real time because again, when I'm looking at financials, I'm either looking monthly, quarterly, or yearly. So even when I miss a guarantee in one spot, I'm probably going to make it up somewhere else. I hope that makes sense. I'm pulling in my garage, so I'm going to lose you guys as I jump off my car here, but
All
I'll
right,
jump right
buddy.
back on.
We'll see you in a minute. Okay, we'll see you in a minute. ASG, if you want to wait till he comes back, that's fine. If you want him to hear what you want to say, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just hopefully he'll hear some of it, but I also wanted to give props to properties like the MGM as opposed to some other properties because it really depends in terms of his answer there. For example, there was a certain tournament, let's just say it was at the Bahamas, that didn't fully meet their guarantee. And what they have in their fine print is that the 3% staff fee, aka the dealers and stuff, comes out of the prize pool. So even if they don't hit the guarantee, that $15 million prize pool, whatever number it is, they take the 3% staff fee out of that guaranteed money.
Right.
So the prize
Right.
pool wasn't actually 15 million on a 15 million guarantee.
I remember that. I
Mic
have
check,
another
mic check.
question. Yep, go ahead.
I was what I was gonna say, and it's a good one to use as an example, is the WPT one. Obviously, we talk about that event, and everybody talked about how it was like a $2.4 million overlay or whatever it was. It really wasn't. It was like 870,000 when you back the fees back into the prize pool, and then that's the check over and above that WPT win had to cover. Hope that makes sense.
I think that's exactly what the WSOP did in their 25K 50 million guaranteed. They missed it by like a marginal amount, and basically, to your point, Sean, I think they backed those a fraction of those fees at least into the prize pool to make sure that they quote unquote hit the guarantee.
It effectively doesn't matter. It's funny money because let's say it's a 2.4 or whatever the overlay, $2 million, and I say I cut a check for 2 million. Well, then I take the fees in anyways and offset. So that's why I was telling Fats, it doesn't matter which way you look at it. It's just funny money from one bank to the other. At the end of the day, the effective number will always be, this is the Alan Kessler argument. That's exactly what it is. It's like when places say, "Oh, we had a $5 million or a $5 million guarantee, and we missed it by 20% of the field, so we had $1 million overlay." That's half the truth. The truth's in the middle. It's like, yeah, that's the overlay based on the prize pool. However, you still took fees from the players, except that they're not going to end up being profit anymore. It's just going to go back in, and then the effective loss at the end of the day, the line we actually circle is a little bit less than what we sell to the masses. Because again, what would you want to hear as a player? You want to hear the big number. Everybody wants to hear the big number.
Yeah, what I'm saying though is the difference is when the WPT had their 30 million, was it, whatever, guarantee, the prize pool was $30 million. When the WSOP had their $15 million guarantee, it was 15 million minus 3.5% or whatever they took for
Oh, I
that.
see what you're saying. Yes, yes. I know exactly what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was 40 and 50 were the numbers, but WPT basically had a 40 million guarantee on a 10K tournament. They missed it by, somebody could quote me, but approximately like 1.8 milli, like on the prize pool. And then the WSOP had a 25K tournament with a 50 million guarantee. And exactly to ASG's point, they missed it by basically the fees and backed it in and said, we hit the guarantee, I have an off question. It really isn't relevant to the player, and I'm sure it's different by operation. But who's on the hook for that? Is it the operator or the host, or sometimes both, or is it just vary based on their relationship? Not that it's relevant as a player, but I'm just curious for my own curious mind.
It depends. Sometimes when we write these contracts, we write into them. If, like, let's say, BetMGM's obviously a bad example because we own half the company, but Moneymaker Tour. When we do the Moneymaker Tour at MGM Grand, we might write into the contract saying, if we miss by a magnitude of X, we cover 80%, you cover 20. I'm not saying this is how it's done, because I'll tell you right now, MGM Resorts, we cover any of our guarantees. But there might be some operators who write that into their agreements with either mid majors or even major organizations like WPT. I don't know. When we did events with WPT, if we had any guarantees on them, we set them and we covered them fully.
Love it. That was kind of the answer I was looking for. Even though I figured it was going to be case by case, but I was just curious. From obviously your seat, you have a different perspective than all of us, and yeah, that was exactly kind of the answer I was looking for. Thank you, Sean.
And if you guys really want, Sherry, if you really want to have a real conversation about this, it's a tough one. It's even
It
it's
is.
even a tough one for me because, like, I tell you guys all that you've heard me many times. I tell players, vote with your dollars. That's exactly what tells us. If I have 100 players one year and I have 450 the next year, I know that I did something. Or I have to look at the markets or travel or volumes and all that other stuff. It's if it's stuff that we can't, directly affect, which we're seeing in Vegas right now. There's a lot of instability in, the global markets right now. So that, like, some people came, most did, but some people decided not to travel this year. We're seeing that. But the reason why operators, and I don't want to say they don't care or they don't really talk about things like guarantees that often, is you're going to see everybody will have a complaint. You can go back to 2015, 2016. You'll see an argument every year where an operator did something quote unquote wrong and the players never adjust. They complain for 72 hours. It's a news story, and then everybody drops it. Everybody lets it go. And I'll even put myself in the hot seat here, going back a couple years with our MGM Grand guarantees. Now, this was the first, like, I had just got over to the corporate side. I didn't know what was going on, and we made some changes with the MGM Grand guarantees. And a famous TD, very good friend of mine, put out a tweet, and everybody jumped on it. And I didn't blame him for putting out the tweet or anything. He ran with his heart, and we're still really good friends today. And he thought he was doing what was right for the players, so I can commend that. And I walked into the CFO's office and said, "Do not change any of these guarantees. Take the hit. It's not worth it." The players deserve to have a transparent tournament that, when we said it, we guaranteed it. Go. Now, if you want to have a tournament 10 days from now and you're forecasting, you're like, nobody's coming to town, act of God, like travels down to, yes, change it, because it's not good for anybody to just, because what happens is if someone drops a guarantee by such a magnitude that now their CFO is like, what happened here, man? Then you don't even have the event year over year. Like, they just get rid of it. And that's not good for poker, because we want
And I'm going to
to grow
tell
the
you,
game. Go ahead.
to your credit and to MGM, you guys stepped up and said, "Look, we made a mistake. We were going to do that, and make those changes, but no, we're going to bite the bullet, eat the overlay." And you reinstated that guarantee and made it happen. So kudos to you and MGM for being committed at that point and since that point to meet those guarantees, whether you're eating them or gainfully collecting them. So kudos to you.
And that sounds amazing. And here's the tough conversation part. That sounds amazing on face value, and I appreciate that, because I think we did what was right, and we continue to. Again, we've dropped guarantees this year, watching others that are direct competitors to MGM Grand change their guarantees while we didn't. And they're not feeling anything. They're not getting blasted online. Players are still showing up. Now they're making all their guarantees. They're making profit. So it looks at it like, as an operator, I'm like, man, are we making? And I'm not saying I'm going to pivot away from guarantees and paying them. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is there are operators who look at this and go, well, there's no positive side. Sean stood in front of the bullet and took the all the rage from the players at the time, and we're still fine. Nobody left us to go to MGM Grand. MGM Grand numbers are what they are still. So you see what I'm saying? It's like, it's a tough
Yeah.
conversation where the operators are looking and go, why are we even doing this? That's why you're seeing guarantees getting stripped away. That's why you're
Yep.
seeing operators go, you know what? We don't care. We'll just do expected or whatever now, or whatever verbiage we want to use, because the players are still going to show up. They're gonna yell online for a day, and if we ignore it, the news story goes away. Don't do what Sean did, because when he talked about it, it stayed a news story for a week, and then even I had to let it go. Like, okay, nothing positive is coming out of this. No one's coming to our defense to say you got, yeah, a couple of outliers like you, Sherry, that are like, you guys did the right thing. But again, there's no dividends behind it. We're not seeing any ancillary play, increased traffic. So to the operators that are like, oh, all they care about is profitability, they're never going to make these moves, because they don't see the other side of it being like, like more players showing up, or players getting online and saying, thank you, we appreciate you, we're going to show up to your place.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Sean on this topic or anything else? Don't forget, Sean's hosting us at the Bellagio with that great staff at the Bellagio Saturday for a meetup game. Free pizza on Sean, 1 p.m.
Hell yeah. No, actually, just appreciate you, Sean, for coming in and weighing in, man. Wanted to hear your side of it.
I'm going to go to Party City and get a pizza costume. That's going to be my
Yeah.
Hey,
Hell yeah.
Sean,
let's change this topic of guarantees. I'm showing up in the pizza costume there.
Hey,
where
you
are
have
you
to
getting
have
the
like
pizza from?
Well played.
you gotta
Well
have like
played.
a neck chain, like like Flava Flav that says free pizza. If
That
you
would
get the
be
costume.
amazing. Okay, I gotta think something up now.
Will this costume have pineapple?
Hey, a 1 day rebrand to the pizza boss, though.
Where's the
Oh,
where's
shit.
the pizza coming from? What establishment?
I don't know. We'll probably. I mean, in-room dining makes really good pizzas, but I don't know. I don't even remember where I got them last year. I think Snacks also has pretty good pizzas.
I think you got them from
Yeah, I
Snacks
think I
last
did get them from Snacks. That would make the most sense. I mean, we have a few places at Bellagio that make decent pizzas, so yeah, I'll find something.
If
year.
you're
It was
ordering the
delicious, by the way.
pizzas in from somewhere, is it possible to send some out to the people running the space about the meetup game?
You're so funny,
Hey,
Fats.
Fats, can you do me a favor? I know nobody else is in line, but can you pull forward? I'll get to you in a second.
Touche. That was great.
Good one. Good one.
And since Fats brought it up, I'm going to give a little shout out to Dana and Daisy, and this a couple of others that had said they're going to stop in on the meetup game space that I'll start right before the meetup start begins. Daisy and Dana will co-host. Barry said he'd stop in and help out with that as well, and I'm sure Fats will be in there, and maybe ASG and Brad and Sandy Joy and Ryan and Ryan. Well, Ryan Cost better have made his reservation, but we'll see about that. And anyone else that can attend the meetup game, it's a great way to feel like you're there and not missing out on anything. Be in that space. We're going to do some updates. Hopefully, those that are playing will get in that space and give some live reporting of what's going on at their table, especially if I'm taking their chips. Hint, hint. Give me your chips, people. Fats, were you going to say something, buddy?
No.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I saw your mic. Go ahead, Brad.
The FOMO is real for me. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to come this year. I was there for the first one when Sean was so kind to give us a tour of the Poker Go studio. And, I know it's been said, but Sean, I think it's really cool for you to do this, to open up your rooms to the community to do something like this for Sherry. So I know I've said it before, but big kudos to you and big shout out, man, for real.
Sorry, give me a second. My wife's cutting onions over here.
Tell that wifey I said hello for sure. All right, you guys, we're going to go around the horn. And oh, no, before we do that, anybody else have any more questions for Sean?
Favorite pizza? Go.
All right, I'm going to double answer two questions. One, ASG's question first. ASG only if it's the crazy variety, but yes. Favorite type of pizza. So this is going to be cliche, but I'm the guy that's like, if it goes on a salad, it doesn't go on a pizza. Sorry, everybody. Like
Yes.
meat lovers pizzas,
Yeah.
like all day. I love just like regular cheese pizza. I love pepperoni pizza. One thing I do love though about my pizza is when it's well done. And as an East Coast guy, no matter what we do on the West Coast, we can never make East Coast pizza. Sorry, not
I
sorry.
know that's right. Or Chicago pizza. ASG, did you have another question or comment, buddy?
Well, I didn't have a question for Sean, but I did just want to add to what to the discussion of like operators doing semi shady things. I pinned this tweet from Cookie Monster where the WSOP now on their structure thing on the app, they put and this kind of goes with what I was talking about with the prize pool, but they put the buy-in like this plus this. So you think that second number is all of the rake and the rest is fully going into the prize pool, but then at the bottom they have the staff fee that's in this example 3.3% of the total buy-in, which means that instead of like just saying the rake is 11%, which is very reasonable as is, they make it look like the rake is 8%, and then on the bottom have this extra 3.3%. Just put the whole thing together up top. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. Definitely valid points. Um, for sure. And some people might not even realize that that number to the side is, the rate. There are people that just don't know all the ins and outs. And so, uh, yeah, let's make it cut and dry so folks know as soon as they look at it what it is. Go ahead, Fats.
Sausage, mushrooms, and onions.
I can definitely vibe with that. I can vibe with that.
Sausage, Italian sausage,
Absolutely.
Italian
Absolutely.
sausage.
I'm not a fan of ground beef on the pizza.
Hell no.
They're like,
Ugh,
I can't even believe people do that one. Honestly.
me neither, dude. There's no flavor in the in the hamburger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and speaking of where I think Fats is, do they have any like Detroit style pizza in Vegas?
Oh, I don't know.
In Vegas,
Probably not. It's not big time enough yet.
closest I think you get is Little Caesars.
Oh
Well,
my
that's
God. Is that
Chicago.
even still
Little
Yo,
around?
Little
Caesars,
Caesars is litty. I'm not gonna lie.
the Little
Oh,
Caesars,
Isaac.
the square one, the square Sicilian one.
Gotcha.
That's hilarious.
No, you know,
Because
funny
it is
enough, like
gaining
of all
popularity
the
in these.
cheap pizza though, for real, like they're actually
We
not
have
as
I'm going
bad.
to tell you.
Jets Pizza out here.
I'm going to tell you. I'm not. I like Pizza Hut for a cheap pizza.
The
I
only
haven't had it
Pizza
in a
Hut
couple
pizza
of
I will
years,
have is
but
stuffed crust pizza. Besides that,
so good.
I can't do Pizza Hut. Papa John's I used to be a fan of. They lost it. Domino's, I don't know what they be smoking, but I,
Domino's. I can't. I think Domino's is the bottom of the barrel, personally.
yo,
Yeah,
seriously
I
though,
can't
that's
Oh,
all.
remember
That's
Papa
never
last
been
time I had
John's.
righteous.
Come
Domino's.
on.
That's all.
Papa John's is bottom. I'm sorry. Papa John's is
Yeah,
terrible.
no, you know what?
I haven't had.
I agree with you though. I think they got there. I think they got
Oh,
there. But
I think that it's Domino's, then Papa John's, and then Pizza Hut, as from the bottom up for those three franchise
what
for
I'm
me.
happy about is that LA's pizza obsessed. I think because they tell us that our pizza is trash, we make more of it, right? You know, because we're like, fuck y'all, we know better, and eventually we gonna crack this bitch. But I think,
You're
honestly,
so
though,
funny.
and I said this last time, there's a couple places out here they're making some serious pies. But
Isaac, I'll tell you, you were looking for Detroit style, either
Oh,
Good
that was me.
Pie or Pizza Rock. They both have Detroit style pizza.
oh, Pizza Rock for
Okay,
sure.
that was me. But thanks. And yeah, I will say though, my favorite quick bites of any poker room in terms of nearby the poker room is the pizza place by the Aria there.
Snacks.
No,
Or
no, no,
no,
no.
Aria.
Money line,
Aria.
money line.
Yeah, money line. Money line. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Money
Okay.
line's real good. Money line's real good. I don't mind walking all the way over there if you
I
guys
haven't
want
had
money
money
line.
line, but I had the secret pizza at the Cosmo, and that's fire.
Sean, beggars can't be chooser. Whatever you decide, we will love. So thank you.
Domino's
Um,
incoming, double
Yeah,
fish
you've
everything.
got
Yo,
oh
don't,
Jesus
Sean. You've
Christ.
got the favorite, everybody's favorite flavor, free.
Exactly.
Fats,
And
you know.
Isaac, have you ever been to Giordano's, Isaac?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I just want to be sure. I just want to be
Oh,
sure.
after I've been to that. I've been to I remember Mike Ditka had a place out here in LA for a
Oh yeah.
second that did like the sausage sandwiches and the deep dish pizzas.
Oh
Yeah, it
yummy.
was pretty good, yo.
Fats,
Yummy.
you know the best nation in the world is the donation.
I believe
Exactly.
I'm a national. Yeah.
Exactly.
That nation.
Hey Isaac, I asked you to give us some suggestions for
Oh yeah,
Mid-Eastern
for like
food. Do you
you
have
know
any?
what, and I went for Mediterranean because that's
That's
that's how
fine.
I know it, right? But please, by all means,
Fine.
Sean, if you got better ones, please throw them at us. We're
You,
looking for
you
like
know who I get my Mediterranean? Sorry
no
to
no
cut
go
you off. You
ahead
know who
go
I
ahead.
get my recommendations from?
Where?
Uncle Maury Escandani. He's the one that takes me for Mediterranean food.
Ah,
Yeah. I know that's kind of a sick
Oh.
brag. I'm like, oh, just
I mean
Maury
that's a sick
Escandani
brag, but
taking me.
hit us with a location though. You know that's what I really want to know. Yeah, because like
What you got for us,
let's see, the
Isaac? Come
two
on.
that I got that I found were Corey's Mediterranean Restaurant.
Please spell
It's
it.
KHOURY apostrophe S Mediterranean Restaurant. And I was looking at all of their, pictures, and everything looked really fire. Definitely something I would want to give it a try too. Love kebab food typey stuff. You know what I'm saying? The basmati rice with the hummus and all the vibes. The tzatziki on the side. That's definitely very very vibey. This place looks real good. So looks like something definitely worth checking out. Might be on the itinerary. As is Mac, we were already discussing what the first meal is because the first meal is usually Blueberry Hill. Once we enter the city, but I think we're gonna do the steakhouse at the South Point.
Oh,
Yeah,
yummy. Yummy. Well, we know what your second meal is going to be. Japanese at
Oh no, no,
5:30
that's
on
happening.
Saturday.
That's happening this weekend. No, this is for
Oh,
when Mac and the gang arrive on the 29th when we're there for
oh,
two
next.
weeks.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha. Yummy. Go ahead, Brad.
I just want to add on the Mediterranean topic. If you're at the Horseshoe, the WSOP Paris, right outside the Paris or the Horseshoe, like they have like the outside food court where Giordano's, the Wahlburgers, and all that's at. There's a Mediterranean restaurant that was one of my favorite spots when I was on break out there. I think it's called Istanbul Mediterranean or something like that. It's affordable. It's nearby. You can literally get there on breaks and back. So you were talking about Mediterranean food. I wanted to shout out that
I
place.
appreciate that actually because
Yeah.
I've been to the Wahlburgers there and I've been to the Giordano's. I go to the spot right there for the margaritas, the crazy ass slushy margaritas and the slut.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
When I'm feeling
yeah, I know what
slutty,
you're talking about.
when I'm feeling slutty,
Yeah.
that,
Did it used to be
20.
Constantinople Mediterranean?
That could be it.
Uh,
I'm not
that's a They Might Be Giants joke. Don't worry about it.
okay.
All right, you guys, I want to give some tournaments around town. Isaac gave us some earlier. I'm going to continue on with the 12 o'clock start at the Aria is the Mystery Bounty Day 2. It's a 2200 no, it's a 2-day event, sorry. $2,200 buy-in, a $1 million guarantee. Don't forget the Aria is giving some swag away to the final table, including an Aria hoodie. At the MGM at 10 o'clock. Six Max No Limit tournament started, and that is a $400 buy in, 30K guarantee. $1,400 is the PLO bounty. The bounties are $100. The buy in is $400 for a 25K guarantee. At 1,800 hours is their no limit bomb pot, $250 buy in, 10K guarantee. At 2,100 hours at the Grand, MGM Grand is a no limit $150 buy in, 5K guarantee. Over at the Orleans, 11 o'clock is their no limit, $400 buy in, 40K guarantee. 1,600 hours is their '08 tournament, $240 buy in, 10K guarantee. And at 1,800 hours is their no limit tournament, $200 buy in, 15K guarantee. Be reminded their 2,200-hour Survivor is canceled today, and for the rest of their summer series, they have canceled that event. Over at the Nugget, 11 o'clock is their main 1B flight, and that is a $600 buy in. At 12 o'clock is their triple stud tournament, which they added since their very first schedule. That is a $400 buy in. At 1,600 hours is their no limit, it's a $120 buy in. And at the Golden Nugget at 1,800 hours is their no limit, $200 buy in. And you notice I didn't say any guarantees because I'm just not going there with that casino. Over at the Venetian at 10:10 a.m. is the No Limit Seniors 1B flight, $1,600 buy-in, $2 million guarantee. And also at the Venetian today at 12:10 is their Big O Bounty Tournament, $1,100 buy-in, $150,000 guarantee. And we're going to get on to the WSOP in just a minute. Anybody else have any other topics they wanted to bring up?
Nah, I think we definitely took a deep dive
Did
right
we?
there. Oh, yo, I did have one more Mediterranean restaurant. Go ahead,
Oh, please.
but first, go ahead, Fast. What were you gonna
I
say?
was going to say, did
Oh,
we ever talk about uh, how Brian Rest ended up?
Brian Rast is going heads up today. We're going to talk about that when we get on to the
Oh, okay. That he
WSOP.
hasn't. He's
But
still didn't start yet. Okay, never mind.
yes. And honestly, if somebody wants to look up what time the restart is for the RAS today, that would be great. Brian Rast is, of course, a member of Team Space's Fantasy League team, and he's going to get us some good points because he's heads up today. And we need those points. So go Brian Rast. He's heads up with Andrew Ye or Yee. who has 6 million in chips, and Brian has 2 million in chips. So they will go heads up today. I'm sure it'll be later today as a broadcasted final table. I just don't know at what time. So we need those points for our team for sure. All right, you guys. Since nobody else has anything to bring up, I'm going to go ahead. ASG. I'm going to go ahead with the WSOP results. Event number 37, day 4099 of the Monster Stack. There was 13 million in the prize pool. And of course, we have finally gotten a winner. Going into Wednesday in second place as far as chip stacks are concerned was Clemens, who came out on top and took the bracelet and 1.2 million. Starting Wednesday in first place as far as chip stacks were concerned, David, I'm going to spell his last name, is Uvaydov, finished second for 802,000. So congratulations to those winners. Again, there were 9,920 entries into that tournament. So congrats to everybody that made it through to the money. Event number 48, 1K Seniors No Limit event, 6.9 million in the prize pool, 7,575 runners. There are 202 going into Thursday, and the leader right now is Ron Fetch with 3 million in chip stacks. Mansour, and I'll spell it as ALIPOURFARD, has 2 million on his chip stack. Waiting at the top is $653,000. Again, the event number 50, the 10K RAS, 970K. There were 102 runners. There are 2 left today. Andrew has 6 million. Brian has 2 million, as we just discussed. Event number 51, the 25K High Roller Pot Limit Tournament. Pot Limit Omaha, 11.7 in the prize pool. There were 489 runners. There are 28 left going into today. 2.2 million waiting at the top for the winner. The leader currently is Najim. Asjez maybe has 8 million in chips, and Lataro Guerra Cabrizio, I think, has 6 million in chips. Team Spacers has a runner. Ben Lamb is still in it to win it, and he has 1 million in his chip stack. So go, Ben, go. Event number 52, the $1,500 freeze out, 3.1 million in the prize pool. There were 2,318 runners. There are 29 left going into today. 410,000 waiting at the top. Julio Bellalucci, I believe, has 7 million in chips. Asher Conniff has 6 million. And Mr. Wash Your Hands himself, Philip Ramos, is in 25th place with 1 million in his chip stack. Moving on to the Millionaire Maker Flight A, event number 53. That was a $1,500 buy-in. 1,612 runners, 345 move on to day 2. Event 54. Hold on. Why is this? Okay, event number 54 is a $1,500 pot limit Omaha 8-handed, 1,564 runners, 114 move on to today. 2.1 million in the prize pool, 306K waiting at the top. Your chip leader is Giuseppe Pantilio, has 1 million in his chip stack. Michael Monrig has 893,000. Notable is Tara Dunn in fourth with 849,000. Good luck to those runners. In event number 55, which is the 10K horse event, 1.6 million in the prize pool, 176 runners. There are 91 going into today. The chip leader is John Hennigan with 351,000. Christopher Vitch has 343,000. Some notables still in it to win it would be Matisal Seaver, Huckseed, Todd Brunson, and Team Spacers member Big Hooney has 99,000. Good luck to those folks. Today's schedule looks as follows. At 10 a.m., Flight 1B of Event 53, the $1,500 Millionaire Maker. 11 a.m. is Day 3 of Event 48, the 1K Seniors. 12 p.m. is Day 2 of Event 54, the $1,500 Pot Limit Omaha 8-handed. 12 p.m. also is Day 3 of Event 51, the 25K High Roller Pot Limit Omaha. At 2 p.m. is Day 2, Event number 55, the 10K Horse. And also at 2 p.m. is Day 1 of Event 56, the $2,500 Mixed Triple Draw Low Ball. Did anybody find out when the Raz is starting today? Anybody see that by any chance? If not, no problem. People can look it up. I'm sure they'll be tweeting about it on the WSOP site if they haven't already. I just couldn't find it before we started today. So that's where we are. I'm going to go around the horn to see if anybody else has anything else to bring up. If you're in the audience and would like to come up and bring up something, now's the time to request a microphone because we will be cutting it off here shortly. I'm going to go around the horn with Brad. Do you have anything you'd like to bring up or talk about?
No. I really appreciate this the show today. It's just been a fun one. We've had some really good conversations and debates. And I'm really grateful that Sean showed up today to kind of weigh in on some of the discussions today. And just keep doing what you're doing, Sherry. You definitely have an impact, and you talked about the impact of these streams, and somebody's going to go to Malta because of your hosts and what you're doing in the meetup games, and I like to think that it potentially had an impact on the Hall of Fame conversation you were talking about earlier. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you for those kind words, Brad. I appreciate it. Sometimes we get into day 24 and you're wondering why you're still doing this, right? And you guys know what I mean because you guys are hustling to get here every morning too. And, then you stop and think, it really in some little way is making a difference on different topics of conversation or just teaching people or learning myself new things every day. And so I definitely think there is an impact, so I appreciate those kind of words. Isaac, you have anything you'd like to bring up?
No, I think it was a really dope space today. I really appreciate everybody's input. Brad, you're the man. Yeah, I mean, I was happy that Sean pulled up after the tag. Sean is always dope and hella gracious, always like willing to conversate about these topics. And it's crazy because it's like, you know, these would be massive spaces, right? If it were out there like that. But in a way, it's really dope how intimate this is that we can actually have a back and forth about this. And who knows what this inspires, right? On the actual operational side of things. So, super dope. Super dope. I hope everybody has a good day. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. I can't wait for this meetup game.
I hear you, buddy. I hear you. And thank you for the kind words. I appreciate you tagging Sean to get him in here. So, we always love when he's with us and giving his input on the professional operator side of things. And he is never not willing to have a conversation, no matter how hot or cold a topic is. And he knows I appreciate that. And you all do too. And yeah. I love it. I love those conversations, and I feel like those help us in the poker world, whether we know it or not. I think those conversations are very, very important. Um, and that's one of the reasons out of many that I continue to do spaces because I think those conversations are important, and you can't have those conversations on any other platform. I don't care what platform you're on, you're not going to have those conversations like we have here in Spaces. And I think it should be treasured and I think it should be cultivated. And I think we have to get more people in the conversation. Come one, come all. Um, there are no limits. And we celebrate each other, we promote each other, and because the poker world is big enough for all of us, and anyone that is gatekeeping or whatever, shame on you. like, get with the program. We're here for everybody, and you should be too. That should be the premise behind everything you do. If you want to make the poker world a better place by sharing your talents, then you have to also share other people's talents and lift them up. So that's where I come from, and I know many of you in here do too. And I appreciate those that joined us this morning and those that are going to listen at a future time. I appreciate you too. Get to the meetup game on Saturday. Be there or be square. And if you can't listen to the live space that'll be going on with Dana and Daisy and some other folks that are going to help out, appreciate all of you. Have a great day. Karen, good luck and safe travels. I'll see you soon. And Isaac, you too. Tomorrow morning, it's going to probably be a short show because I'll have to get to the airport after the show. So, because I leave for Vegas. Ryan Robb, I see you down there. Appreciate you. Exec Deck, D Man, Bathwater for Buy-In, Sandy Joy, Dana, Karen, Green Visor Gang, Brad, Isaac. Appreciate all of you. And those that have left, like Sean and ASG for sure. Have a great day. I'm babbling now. Love you all. Bye.